Welcome to level 4 out of 31 levels of the 613 degrees or rungs on Jacob's ladder. After the ram is killed, the bull or bullock is another animal that is metaphorically killed, which is the desire to bully and boss around others. Bulls wrestle their heads with one another trying to boss and control the other around. We are to kill the bull. Keep the desire to bully and boss around others gone. If the desire comes back, kill or rid it again. And after the desire is killed, prevent it from coming back again. After the ram and bull are killed, it is time to kill the goat. Killing the goat metaphorically is a desire to brag and degrade others. The goat jumps up and attacks downward, which represents the metaphorical act of bragging and degrading others. So we are to kill the goat and keep the desire to goat others gone. If the desire comes back, kill or rid it again. And after the desire is killed, prevent it from coming back again. In Spiritics, there is an exercise called UCGR. It stands for utterance, confession, guilt, and restitution. It is important to utter or cause an utterance, not necessarily an outward utterance, but an utterance in one's mind. To utter is to express with the voice, but it is really our inner voice that we want to express here. Here, an utterance is an articulation of a negative desire, thought, emotion, action, restraint, or speech that one performed. It is to conceptualize and be aware of what one has done either accidentally or on purpose. The next step is to confess. To confess is to acknowledge or disclose one's misdeed, fault, or sin. It is not necessary to confess a mistake to another, but it is more important to admit to self of a misdeed. The next step is to feel guilty and sad or mad of the misdeed or mistake. To feel guilty is to feel a responsibility for offense. Remember to set the guilt in the right place. Instead of only feeling guilty or responsible for the offense, remember that it is God that made you transgress and make the mistake only to learn and mature as a person. So it is important to feel bad that one is temporarily disconnected from God and is distanced. The distance from God is what is called sin. So one should feel sorry for not being one with God and long for the return of oneness. The next step is restitution. Restitution is a virtue. It removes the distance, which is called sin, and helps a person travel the distance back to God, causing closeness once again. It is to make sad or mad to glad. Restitution is the act of restoring something or repaying someone. Here we are repaying God and others spiritually. To pay is a metaphor for committing a virtue or good deed. To sin is a metaphor for committing a trespass, transgression, misdeed, or bad deed. For every sin we make, it is good to make a virtue or good deed to balance our ledger or account book. An account is a business transaction. So restitution is to make sad to glad by making up for our sins by being virtuous and performing good deeds. The pigeon is the next animal that is metaphorically sacrificed. The pigeon represents flight worship or getting high off of drugs and in thrills instead of life. We can either get high off of drugs and selfish thrills and pleasures or enjoy life from spending time with family and friends. So to take, bring, and offer the metaphorical pigeon is to give up drugs and selfish thrills. Another good practice is to avoid racism, sexism, and discrimination, and to not judge a book by its cover. All people should be treated with equality and should not be misjudged. Next is to make an uncertain guilt offering and apologize just in case to people if you accidentally offended them. It is good to practice the offerings and sacrifices repeatedly, and eventually practice makes perfect. It is important to learn the benefits of avoiding thrill worshiping, because on the surface it seems like a fun lifestyle to take on, but has hidden perils and dangers. The problem with thrill worshiping is that it most of the time starts with extreme highs, but follows with extreme crashes and lows. One finds themselves chasing transient and fleeting pleasures, always wanting more and more. Thrill worshiping is an insatiable desire. It can't be fulfilled. If a person is a thrill worshiper and they give up worshiping thrills, this person should value the birth of their new soul. Worshipping thrills is living in the body, and worshiping God and loving others is to live in the soul. Now a person has a new soul and should value it and keep it holy. Next, they should redeem it and try to adjust their spiritual ledger, making spiritual money or profit, which is metaphorical for performing more good deeds than bad ones.